Okay, so welcome to the February MNRCC meeting. We're all different places, but the main thing is that we're all together here now. So thank you for joining. This is the first item. We don't have a quorum yet, so we're waiting for one more person. Are we? We need 4.
Yes, we do
And
not.
we have 2 and 1 is 3. So I guess we'll have to wait until a little bit of time for that. All right.
Oh, Rosalind is there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she's fine. Appropriate person.
Oh, she is. So we're okay.
I'm sorry?
No, we still need.
No. No, we still don't have quorum.
All right, so there's, I can still give my chair's report. So,
Oh, can I interrupt?
go ahead. Sure.
You already know that? Okay. Never mind. Yes. Go ahead. Your breaking news is faster than me breaking it. Apologies for my delay. It's news, all right. Yeah. Oh, there's our quorum.
But I was on the phone.
Yes. And
Yeah.
now, if you were so online, you'd be a quorum. Okay.
Isn't one more than that's the quorum?
That was a quorum.
It is 8 months.
So we just need a quorum.
Oh, okay. I thought it was one more. And thanks to Metro North, my train was on time. Okay, awesome.
Okay. Andy,
All right, so where do you want to start?
with your chair's report, please.
Okay,
We got a quorum now?
we have a quorum now?
Yes.
Oh, so then we can start with the,
Agenda in the minutes?
yeah, all right, so, yeah, so can I get an approval of today's agenda? I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda.
I'll second the motion.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. And the approval of the minutes that were distributed from previous meeting, I'll make a motion to accept them. In a second,
Second.
okay, any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, so,
Acquired National Nuclear Security Administration employees have been rehired.
is that something we need to share, to listen to, or what?
Someone was unmuted. We can get started.
Okay, so anyway, the major news this month that Kathy Rinaldi has been stepping down stepping down the end of next month as our president. She's been there for almost as long as I've been on the board. And it was described as the worst kept secret.
I told you about it last month.
Yeah, I saw as one of the Metro North people sent me this email where she mentioned that it's the worst kept secret. So she did a great job when she was our president, still is till the end of next month. And Metro North's on-time performance has gone up, and the BBF, the mean distance between failures, has gone down. So Metro North is in a very good place, and the ridership is back, and it's at a high level of on time, which is good. And Justin Bonashek, who is the current senior vice president of operations, will take over for her, and his experience was improving system safety since when he joined in 2016. On Thursday, for you Westchester people who are interested, there's going to be a of the capital program, which now is in very serious doubt. But as when I wrote this, it was something that was still very active and current. So there's a link to our goal want to participate in the thing. And that ends my chair's.
Try to get there. Is anybody else going?
I cannot be in there.
So that's my report, very short and to the point. So I'll turn it over to Lisa for the executive director's report.
So, yeah, as you heard or didn't hear, congestion pricing is in turmoil. We're figuring out our reply. The US DOT has come to its own conclusions about the legality of the program, despite 3 federal judges ruling it's legal. We will probably be back in court, see them in court. I read the letter that they sent, and at the core premise, at least one of their core arguments is incorrect, so, if not all of them. So I do see, their basic argument, which is that the value pricing pilot program, under which congestion pricing falls. They say that the roads have been paid off, that there is no fines and fees that should be attached to it, that there should be a freeway, to get around. Well, if you're on a toll road in Florida, they don't really give you any, or in Texas, they don't give you a free alternative on that road. That's on a federal road. There are free ways to travel through the cordon, around the cordon area. So
It's called mass transit.
well, it's not just called, it's also, there are traveled routes that you can drive, to get around, so, it will, to be continued, it's not unexpected, it's not surprising, it's just, stupid, it's just, here we go again. So, the DOT, US DOT secretary specifically cites Phil Murphy's letter to the president as a claim about the economic toll on the region, as opposed to citing, I don't know, the Ernst Young EY and partnership study of, and the Broadway League studies that show increased traffic coming in. So, obviously, the Post was the first to break this. Also not surprising. And there's just never done one. The governor was supposed to go to Washington last week to have a conversation with the White House about killing congestion pricing. That conversation was killed when the Justice Department sued the state over the clawback of the FEMA money. So after having just spent an entire lifetime or a weekend in Albany at caucus weekend, listening to some very fiery rhetoric and fired up elected officials, I did not see that there would be any conversations between Albany and Washington that would lead to any kind of meeting of the minds. So clearly the mind was met anyway. Welcome your thoughts on input for a very quickly put together statement. But my thought is, not unexpected. But we'll see in court that we've seen that the program is working and that it works.
Yeah, that's the most important point, is
Yeah.
that everybody who, day by day, more people experience it, more, as I've said on social media and other places, that the feedback I'm receiving from bus commuters from New Jersey, as well as upstate New York, west of the Hudson, is ecstatic.
Yeah, and drivers who didn't think they would like it, even business owners, small business owners.
I had a month ago or 3 weeks ago, I met somebody for a 7:30 meeting at my office, and he got there 20 minutes early because Midtown Tunnel was empty.
It's really something.
It's every day there are more converts to seeing how this is benefiting the region.
Yeah, I just took a bus. And I wouldn't have done that if I was running late. Yeah. So.
My question on that is, I thought the new administration's philosophy was that these agencies weren't supposed to have that kind of power.
This is not coming from the agency.
Department of Transportation.
They're the ones who are the agency of record signing off on the project. So that's why they would be the ones who would have the ability or believe they have the ability to rescind it.
I think that, because they had to sign off in the first place, so they think that they're able to
Rescind.
withdraw their signing on in the first place.
Yeah, it's loaded.
They may not be able to,
Um,
but I think that's why.
And
the
I don't
courts
know if it fits in the statement, but the other thing to fall back on is that the environmental impact statement was extremely well prepared and met all the requirements.
Right,
You know,
and-
and so the other pending legislation
yeah,
is not well done.
well, that 3 federal lawsuits have already knocked it down on its lack of merit. Andy and Peter, do you have any input?
Andy
was here and he left.
Oh.
I don't know. So he might have some more insight.
Not at this time.
Okay, all right. I understand that there is that the MTA's answer is gonna be something like we'll see in court.
Oh, does they have to turn off the machines or they're still pending?
I don't think they have to. Because there's debate over whether or not the
Probably not
DOT
in
is
court, yeah.
allowed to do this, so,
And just stop it.
yeah.
Just.
Yeah, it's the next step is court today. And I think they'll probably go back to Judge Lyman, is the word that we're hearing.
This just happened this morning.
Yeah, but there, what's that?
Court today, like they would go like fight right now, really?
Well, the letter came today.
Yeah.
So they want, not only
They
they
want
want,
a court blessing to keep collecting the money. They don't want
Yeah.
people, because you
They
don't want people
want-
to claim later that they can claw it back.
yeah, they want to, they're saying, oh, we don't care that you invested money in infrastructure. Because that money was already, because we hadn't even got. So that's on you, screw you. Pardon my French. They are, I have a lot more French words I'm not used to. They're saying that we know that you've already started to invest some of those funds for projects. Well, it's too bad. You just have to find other money. So, there's gonna wanna be an expedient response. All right, so that's the latest. I'm kind of like 5 texts and emails in the last 2 minutes. Kara's working on drafting something. So Jack and I were in Albany for the caucus weekend, last weekend, which is really an opportunity to bring together a lot of state leadership to talk about the upcoming budget cycle, to bring together strength and unity of moving the state and largely not just the city, but key issues forward. Transportation and transit is one of them. One of the reasons we want was to continue transit riders forward and focused. Demetrius was there. There were a lot of people from Lourdes was there from MTA and WBE, and there were a lot of people, great connections and connectors throughout the region. So it was a great opportunity to continue the conversations that we'd had the week before when we went up for Transit Equity Day, and I never left. And we had a breakfast with Senator Comrie and met with a number of elected officials. We have several who are very interested in the Roslyn bill, which is the mid-kid family fair. We're getting language for that, and also have some bill language for the senior disabled Medicare eligible discount in the morning peak bill, and Assemblymember Seabright is going to carry that on the Assembly side, and Senator Conway on the on
Lisa,
Senate side. Yes.
who is the one that can order the MTA to offer senior discounts at all times? How does that happen?
Well, that's what I'm just talking about. That's a bill, that's a senior disabled Medicare eligible discount bill. So there is a bill that's being introduced as part of the budget.
Okay,
Make it into the one houses. And ultimately, we've spoken to the governor's office about it as well. And they said, well, we'll look forward to seeing it in the one, we'll look forward to seeing it. It's not a lot of money, but in our conversations with the MTA would like it to be funded. So that is certainly understandable. So it could be the MTA board. So as part of our conversations, we say, well, our members cannot even, you know, raise their hands and make a motion. So that's part of our efforts to have our right of representatives be voting.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, as you know, we're not allowed to, so.
But we have been, you know, speaking with our elected leaders, we've been reinforcing the importance of congestion pricing for the current capital plan. And also for fully funding the next plan. As part of our conversations in fully funding the next capital plan, not with congestion pricing, but to fill the $35 billion hole. Kara has led, spearheaded an effort to put together a report on, there were 24, maybe now we'll come up with 35. Because we keep getting more ideas, possibilities and options for providing, and we're gonna get that, it's on our website now. For adding, for funding the capital plan. So they range from a slice of the state's overall budget that can be bonded to a pied-à-terre tax, to a package tax, to a number of different alternatives. So we do have our you know, priorities based on the things that we have all collectively spoken about and continue to discuss. What else are we doing? A lot, right?
Revamping the fairfares maps.
Go ahead.
So last year we had created a series of maps demonstrating both the importance of increasing eligibility for the fairfares program. That's the income-based half price subway and bus pass program. We created a bunch of maps that showed the impacts of raising that eligibility threshold to 200% of the federal poverty level, and also extending it to the commuter railroads within New York City. And so we are revamping those maps this year because the eligibility threshold did go up a tiny bit. It went from 120% to 145% of the federal poverty level. So we're gonna we're revamping those maps now, and we're going to re-release that report in the coming weeks so that we can use that for talking points in Albany and also at the city council level. And we're also working on a bus report that's focused more on the city. But we'll also talk a bit about connectivity to the rails in the 5 boroughs.
And do you happen to remember what the federal poverty level is?
So if you right now, if the fairfares right now is at 145% at the federal poverty level, if you work at Chipotle or the Gap, you make too much money.
So it also is scaled based on the number of people in your household. So minimum wage would probably qualify as the federal poverty level if you have, say, 5 people in your household. But as an individual, I believe it's somewhere in the low 20,000 range annually, which is very low in standard of living in Europe. So the doubling it, or not doubling anymore, but making it 200% of the federal poverty level would raise it to about the low 30,000 range for an individual person, and then it would scale up depending on the number of people in the household. But yeah, we've gotten a lot of positive response in Albany for both all the fare proposals and then also for our capital plan funding proposals as well.
Yes.
Do the social media report?
Yes, please.
So just a couple of things that came up in the last month on social media that we noticed. You may have seen that there was some news attention from the New York Post about the quiet car on Metro North and how there are no plans to bring that back. And following that article and leading up to it as well, there were dozens of calls in the last month for reinstating that quiet car. And the railroad has continued to confirm that they have no plans to bring it back. We have also seen some calls for that on the Long Island Railroad, which they have slightly different rules about the quiet car. But some writers have suggested that even if there is no quiet car available, that maybe conductors could go through and make sure that people are using headphones or encouraging people to be respectful of their fellow commuters. So it seems like that is an ongoing issue that I know we have waited on in the past.
Tara, guess what, Tara?
Yes,
Quiet cars still exist on Amtrak, who pioneered that, right? At New Jersey Transit. And there's no problems with that.
you guys have it.
Yep.
And I will use as an example.
Long Island, sort of.
They've said that I believe the first car on some trains is a quiet car technically. I don't know how well they enforce that. But the rules do differ between the two railroads, which is surprising.
Yeah, I think on the corridor, it's the first and last car of each train. On the Hoboken division, it's the car facing Hoboken, so it will be the first car going eastbound to Hoboken and the last car leaving Hoboken. And
Right, and the Metro North commuters hated enforcing this.
But I guess it could be dangerous. What my concern is, we are not bringing it back based on the exception as opposed to the rule. I have found that generally people riding the train, when the key is first for them to know that it's a quiet car.
Yes.
So I think we didn't do a good job of designating this is the quiet car. Then once you know it's the quiet car, your normal person is going to respect an announcement. And, okay, so you have some exceptions and maybe it's an understanding that we can't be expected to enforce this. But it's just, you know, it's like us woke people, just common decency, most people will respond to that because they have headphones in.
So people are rude and they have no respect for anybody. I have sat next to people on the train who will pull out their phone and start watching something with volume on, and I'll say, do you have headphones? And they say, yes, and they'll show them to me in their other. And I'll say, well, I need you to put them in. And they'll look at me like I've got two heads. Unfortunately, I'm older and I'm a tough chick. Because I'm not gonna back down. And I will go up to people in Amtrak on a not quiet car. I'll say, I'm sorry, I really need you to turn that down. And they'll look at me because in what world is it okay to watch a movie without
That's
headphones?
the problem with our society. We
That's
have
one of the
trained,
problems.
we have, right, we have
Kids today,
we
and
have
they're not
transitioned.
kids.
Yeah,
They're older than I am in some
It's like,
cases.
I
One
don't
woman
wanna hear
said,
your conversation.
I don't, it's not the conversation, it's the movies.
of us.
This one woman said, the train hasn't even left the station. I'm like, then why are you watching a movie? And she put her headphones in. I'm
but
like,
that's the people, since you're in the majority, what's your opinion, your regular audience? Should we ask them, as a community council, send a resolution to them, asking them to consider it?
we already have.
We already have. Would
We
you
responded.
like to resend it?
This feels like the new leadership would.
Andy?
Sorry, I have you on a higher screen, but I'll continue to look up as I speak to everyone. It's been raised differently by our unions versus the unions on Long Island, which is the major issue here, where it actually has caused conflicts, and there were conductor incidents when trying to enforce or even inform about quiet cars and polite use. We have previously, and we will probably reconsider doing a common courtesy campaign, which is for all cars, not just in quiet cars when it comes to use of headphones. That's something that is encouraged in all cars. Quiet cars, it's not even just not watching things without headphones. Quiet cars, it's not having phone calls, it's not having anything going, it's to be completely quiet. But again, our issue comes from enforcement and how it would be done, as well as when we did have it, it was we were having issues when it came to staffing, and we were trying to bring it back would become an issue with the union. So that would really be where we're seeing the issue, and that's how it's different. And identifying the car, I mean, our policy was the same as Long Island Railroad's, which is the same as New Jersey Transit's. When we had them, it was always the car furthest from Grand Central for us. So it's the furthest car out. It's the most outbound car. Long Island was the most outbound car. Same thing with New Jersey Transit. So it all kind of a uniformity there of where the quiet car was. So it's not of a locating it question. There was also a lot of people also wanted to know why that car would be the quiet car, because they want the quiet car to be their most preferred car, not just any car, which is another story altogether. But what I will say is also that's typically the lowest load car. It's usually the quietest to begin with anyway. It's also
Was a well-designed program.
Huh?
You don't have to sell us on it.
Well, I'm more saying that we'll have the complaint of seat availability, and there'll be plenty of seats available in that car because people just don't want to walk to it. So that was also a problem with where it was placed, because that became a, when there was my understanding, because it wasn't around when I was here, is that was also a complaint that the quiet car shouldn't be the one that was so undesirable. But you know, give and take there. But I do think that at least when it comes to re-upping the public communication complaints about being or public information about being courteous, I do think that's actually one of the programs that we run at least twice a year. So I'll check with the customer communication group to see when that's due to have another run on some of our screens, because, you know, be courteous, use headphones is not that's not even a quiet car thing. That's an entire train thing.
Baskets of,
What'd you say?
baskets of headphones.
Oh yeah.
If you tell Jim.
But also keep in mind, in terms of knowing which car, it's only the regular riders who know that that first car is the quiet car.
Yeah.
So I'm still saying part of the problem is the people who don't already know that are part of the problem, because they don't know that it's a quiet car.
Well, it's not. I mean, they've repealed it. It's not.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying when it was.
Yeah.
And having people in there who have sat down and now they don't want to move and that kind of thing.
Yeah, really, it's not much different if you say we have a quiet car. There's a requirement to not smoke on the train. There's a requirement to show your ticket to the train crew when they come through, and to if we establish a quiet car. All right, well, we'll listen to Andy. It's in his ballpark, so I'm sure he's heard our complaints, our responses about it. Okay.
Yeah, and I think the courtesy campaign might be the one thing that is the most actionable. But again, it will be re-raised. We saw the article, and it's definitely a conversation.
All right, thank you.
The attention came from that article, and people have been tweeting at Metro North quite a bit lately. But just a couple of other things that we noticed. There was an announcement by the railroad in January that some trains will have tickets checked off board before boarding at Grand Central. And the similar announcement was made on the Long Island Railroad at Penn Station, and there was a little bit of pushback on the Long Island Railroad. But generally for Metro North, people were happy with it. Didn't seem to be much.
What do you mean on board?
So before you board.
At the gate.
Oh,
So
okay.
before you get on, they'll check your ticket rather than walking through the train car. They
that's
typically, especially on the Long Island Railroad, they'll do that for major event stations, like if there's a huge crowd of people getting on.
We've been doing it since before them. Ever since we opened Yankee Stadium, actually, post-game and pre-game, we do gating. We've been piloting it for over a year, both at Grand Central. We do it at Harlem a bunch. It's actually helped. One of the things that we've been piloting with respect to getting fares activated and fare collection.
So I got on it at Penn Station on the Long Island Railroad. You can't yet get on Metro North there, but I will as soon as I can. And they gate checked me before I went down one of the staircases. I was in the main stair area, which is fine. But then I said, let me go all the other staircases and see if they're doing the same thing, and they were not. So even though there were 6 ticket checkers at the stair that I entered through, there was nobody at the other two entrances. So anybody could have just seen that and gone the other way. So I thought that was an
Sounds
interesting.
very Long Island.
So that raises a question. Is there any new data on fare evasion since the Blue Ribbon report? Has there been any update on that?
Yeah, it's actually some of the, there have been reductions, both in some bus and subway. But also in, and you may have some numbers on Metro North and Long Island Railroad. And also on, I know more specifically on Long Island Railroad and on the Long Island Railroad, because of the change in accepting, in the way they accept the IOUs. They don't just say, okay, you can't pay with an IOU, and good luck getting that back. So now you have to show an ID, and they're looking into more electronic information collection. Soon, there will be a switch to collection on the railroads, so that it's not through the individual municipalities, but through the Transit Adjudication Bureau. That first had to be an updated process in transit. They had to change the summonses. So there's a lot of summonses they have to change. First, you have to warn somebody and you have to give them information about fares. So that's a different process. When they change it on the railroads, that'll mean that the MTA police will be able to carry one set of summonses instead of like the 10
Right.
municipalities that they run through. And there'll be a better ability to see who responds to the summonses and collect the money. So there's that on the enforcement end. And I don't know if you have more specific numbers or Peter on the on that.
I don't have them in front of me to go more specific into numbers. But we did give a very nice summary. There was actually a board presentation on it. I believe I'll have to double check which month it is, but I can double check and circulate that.
I don't know if it changes the discussion, but obviously that's been a talking point for the anti-congestion pricing forces. You know, and the more that
Yes.
the more that it's vocally pushed back on, the better.
Hey.
Last for the social media report, there were just a few weather-related delays throughout the last couple of weeks, but nothing super major and seemed like they were all resolved relatively quickly. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Kara. All right, do we have any old business? I guess not. Any new business? But
They one of the passages with the main room at Grand Central. Do you know how long that's going to be blocked? I know that the northwest entrance to the main hall at Grand Central has been closed for a couple of weeks. Do we know how long that lasts?
Is that the one that has the access that goes through the construction?
It's underneath the old Michael Jordan Steakhouse. It looks like it's related to a new tenant up there.
Oh, there's a new tenant that's up there. That's
Yes, there's a new tenant. That's why it's close underneath there. They're doing some work to facilitate the new restaurant coming in.
Hope the rent is worth it.
well, let's go.
while we're in the new Grand Central,
I mean, as far as it's a pretty intrusive change for users.
Does that mean that on the entrance at the lower level, there's gonna be, wait, are you saying that the staircase is closed off?
No, the
No.
passage underneath adjacent.
Arch, underneath the arch, on the northwest corner of the Grand Concourse, there's a closure there from
This is
west.
Oh.
You can walk around either on the track level, by the tracks, and it's also where the automated ticket machines, there was a little area there that's on the opposite side of where the Bank of America ATMs are. is also closed on that side in the concourse. We're holding them to a very tight timeline on the work that they need to do there.
Good answer. And I'm sorry, one other thing I'm sorry, I should have raised with you earlier is signs went up about a month ago closing the White Plains Metro North Station overnight from 3 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. Do we know whose idea that was and how it's working? I imagine one.
Trains don't run, right?
Correct. I assume people were spending the night there.
Right.
They needed to carry it out. It was.
I'm surprised it was open.
Oh.
I don't know.
Grand Central isn't open overnight for homeless reasons, exactly the same reason. It actually started before the cold season. It started back in, I think it actually started back in September that we started closing it in advance of the colder months to ensure that there isn't a homeless problem there. There have been some incidents. So it was to help control that.
How many is that on the commuter stations?
Closing the station?
Yeah.
Almost all of our station buildings close overnight. Actually, I'm not sure if there's any that are open 24/7. It was the only one that I'm aware of.
Probably because it connects to the other transit building.
Yeah.
Or indigenous. Connects.
Speak up.
I think Groton Harmon is open at all times, as we have Amtrak trains coming at odd hours, and I've never ever found the Groton Harmon station to be closed. I've never seen a sign saying it closes. There may be a ticket office is closed, but the waiting rooms are always open there, as far as I know.
Have you been there at 3 o'clock in the morning?
You know, Walter.
Yeah, but
Maybe.
I'm not objecting to it at all. I think it's good proactive work.
With Amtrak, you never know how late the train is going to be.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if the train is running late, again, nothing's closed when the train is expected. It's the same thing with Grand Central. You know, we close Grand Central for about 2 hours, actually, is what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
Cronin Harmon, I'd have to double check. I'm not sure. I know the waiting room in Poughkeepsie closes. I know the waiting room in Yonkers closes, which are also Amtrak stations. Most of the station buildings, all of the other station buildings do close. Actually, it's often much more limited hours.
Yeah, like at Ossining, you can get in and out when the station is closed. There's walkways and exit and entrance to the tracks. But at Croton Harmon, there's no way you can get in there that I know of, other than at the far end, at the south end, there's an overpass which is involving a big staircase. Well, other than that, most people go through the station building, and if that building is locked, you wouldn't be able to get in or out of the to or from the trains. If a train comes very late, for example, as can happen on Amtrak.
Again, none of our facilities would ever be closed if there's a delayed train. Everything would be open. Again, we accommodate what the trains are, but again, based on regular schedule, there's still things that close.
Okay. On the subject of stations, yesterday we got an email from the chairman's office that next Monday's committee meetings will be held as usual at 2 Broadway, but Wednesday's board meeting will be at Grand Central Madison in the mezzanine level at 11 o'clock in the morning. And they expect to have it done around 1.
The whole
that,
board.
Yes. Yeah, they're taking the show on the road.
Okay. That's good to know.
I'll be on lease retail space.
Maybe that's why they've been talking about that retail space, which is interesting.
Yeah, set it up in there.
Oh, I guess because it's the 2-year anniversary of the opening, maybe?
That's exactly why they're doing it, yes. That's why they're doing it. So they're going on the road. All right.
Railroad.
Something that says new, what's that, new county exec?
Yes,
What does that mean?
Ken Jenkins is now the.
Oh,
county-
yes, yes, of course. Yes,
Westchester
yes,
County.
yes, absolutely. Yep.
And I guess he was just elected very recently, and February 7th, I guess it was, and then he'll have to stand for re-election again in November, as I understand it.
Right.
right, but you got a challenger already, right?
So where
And
does
it's
that,
saying-
where does that put us in terms of trying to get new members?
Well, now we wait. So what we heard from the governor's office was that they wanted the biggest contributor, as it were, which is Westchester, to have all their appointees. We, if he as the at least, if he did that now, I don't know, the short term. Nothing would happen between now and November or January. So it would just be a waste of time, as we've learned, unfortunately, too many times.
It seems all of the way is a waste of time. How many years have we been trying to get this done?
But we don't need him. We need somebody from Westchester. And I know you've been doing your due diligence.
Well, I mean, I reached out to the New Rochelle mayor, but I didn't go beyond that. So when you say somebody, because I could.
An
try-
elected official, so somebody from like Mount Vernon, where's Andy Stewart cousin from? Mount Vernon would be great to get somebody from. Somebody.
Okay, so when you say Mount Vernon,
Yonkers,
Yonkers or
White Plains.
Yonkers, White
Plus-
Plains. Well, Mike is- Yeah. Mike was nominated by the mayor of White Plains, right?
Yeah.
because I know somebody who might could
Oh,
get.
that was a
citizens.
different parts.
Well, that's all right. It took you a while.
That's okay.
And who's the Greenberg person? The mayor?
21 or 226.
That's right.
All right. So anything else that we want to bring up here?
We also have a potential candidate for bike ped.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out who to get them appointed by.
So-
So that could be anyone.
Right, so I spoke with the Bronxborough President's Office over the weekend. Bronxborough President and the senior staff were there. Randy Marisol retired. So she's no longer, she's gonna continue to be on TRC. But there was somebody who's been interested in joining this council as a Bronx representative. And the guy who was with the borough president said, oh, but he lives in Manhattan. I said, but he commutes to the Bronx and he rides the Metro North on a regular basis. And he said, well, can't the Manhattan Borough President appoint him to the other council? And I said, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Because that would be Trudy, who holds that seat,
Yeah.
and it would kill her
Yeah.
to be
But
unappointed.
He,
But-
he city bikes from Upper Manhattan to the Fordham Metro North Station. So I believe that he doesn't have to be the Bronx person, he could be the bike ped person.
Yeah.
in the council,
Yeah.
which might make more sense, even if they would be the ones to appoint. But it's good that we have a person who's interested and things are moving along slowly but surely.
We had a Bronx rep for like 5 minutes. All right.
Randy, we
Curiosity
just sent-
question.
Sorry, Randy, we just sent you a brief, statement to take a look at. You all wanna hear what we are drafting?
Sure.
What Kara drafted, which is strong and amazing like Kara.
Strongly condemn.
We condemn in the strongest terms the US DOT's decision to withdraw their approval of congestion pricing. Will this decision also affect the VPP toll roads in places like Texas and Florida? 6 weeks in, there's no question that congestion pricing is working. Drivers from around the region are seeing less traffic, bus riders are seeing substantially faster trips, and riders are finally experiencing investment in our transit infrastructure. Recently, more than 60% of CBD drivers approved the program.
Yeah.
Congestion pricing went through a years-long, extremely thorough environmental review process. And FHA already found that no significant impacts would occur. Multiple judges have ruled in favor of the program's legality. We can't afford to reverse the transformative progress that New Yorkers are experiencing. We urge the US DOT to reinstate their approval of congestion pricing immediately. Otherwise, we'll see you back in court.
Okay, well written.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Just instead of financing investment in transit. From experience in investment. In our transit infrastructure.
Trump said that he started the war.
Right, yeah, I know, he turns it around, completely turns it around, which he always does. Yeah.
All right,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Our next meeting is PCAC.
March 6th.
March 6th.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, call for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Thank you all for taking time out of your busy days.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Okay, thanks, Mike. And Roz,
Yeah.
Francis, thank you. Are we offline yet?
In just a moment, I will stop recording.